There's something different about people who grew up in the 1970s. Maybe it's the way they can sit with themselves without reaching for anything, or how silence doesn't make them uneasy, or how they don't seem in a hurry to fill every gap with noise. It's not because life was easier back then. It's because their inner world was built before constant input arrived to occupy it. To understand this, you have to start small. Picture a child, 8 or 9 years old, sitting on the living room floor on a weekday afternoon. The television has been on all morning. Cartoons fade into static. The screen turns grey. And then it ends. No autoplay, no next episode. The room suddenly feels larger than it did a moment ago. The carpet is cool against one cheek. Somewhere behind the wall, water moves quietly through pipes. Dust drifts through a narrow beam of light cutting across the room. No one tells you what to do next. No one rushes in, and slowly, without effort, the mind begins to wander. Not because it's inspired, but because it has nowhere else to go. Boredom wasn't treated as a problem. It was just a pause. And in that pause, imagination learned how to stretch on its own. Now picture a summer afternoon. A bicycle lies on its side in the driveway, its chain still warm from the sun. You push off, hands loose on the handlebars, the street sloping just enough that your feet lift without thinking. For a moment, you let go completely. Wind presses against your face. The sound of gravel hums beneath the tyres. There's no helmet digging into your forehead. No voice calling after you. Just balance, speed, and the quiet awareness that if you fall, you'll feel it, and if you don't, you'll remember this exact second forever. Freedom in the 1970s wasn't announced. It was felt in the body first. When you got hurt, and you did, it wasn't an emergency. A scraped knee stung as air hit raw skin. Dirt was brushed away with a sleeve. Someone said, "You're fine." And most of the time, you were. Pain wasn't evidence that something had gone wrong. It was proof that something had happened. You learned early that discomfort didn't mean danger, and that not every feeling needed an audience. Waiting shaped the days too. Real waiting, the kind that settles into your bones. You sat by the radio with one finger hovering over the record button, heart slightly ahead of the beat. The DJ talked too long. Static crackled. You almost gave up. And then the first note slipped through the speaker. You lunged forward, pressing record a second too late, the song already missing its opening breath. You listened anyway. That flaw stayed on the tape forever. It didn't ruin the memory, it became part of it. Anticipation wasn't something to eliminate. It was something you lived inside. Privacy came early. A bedroom door closed with a soft click. Posters curled slightly at the corners where tape had lost its grip. The light from the hallway disappeared, leaving only a small lamp humming faintly on the desk. You lay on the bed staring upward, replaying moments from the day no one else would ever hear about. Thoughts stayed long enough to take shape. Identity wasn't announced. It was rehearsed quietly, alone. Social life unfolded without scripts. Kids gathered in backyards and empty lots as the streetlights flickered on. Rules were invented mid-game and argued over loudly. When someone got upset, there was no adult mediator. You worked it out, or you didn't. You learned who could be trusted, who talked too much, who stayed when things got uncomfortable. These lessons weren't taught, they were absorbed night after night through trial and embarrassment and repair. Money had weight, coins pressed cold into your palm at the corner store. You counted them once, then again, before sliding them across the counter. Spend them, and they were gone. Save them, and they stacked up slowly, visibly. Nothing disappeared with a tap. Cause and effect lived right there in your hand. Music wasn't background noise. It was an event. Records were pulled from sleeves carefully, the smell of cardboard and vinyl mixing in the air. You lay on the floor reading liner notes, while the needle traced its path through the grooves. 40 minutes, no skipping, no shuffling. You stayed with the whole thing front to back, even if you didn't like every song yet. Time moved differently. If you missed a TV episode, you waited a week. If you missed a movie, you might never see it. If you wanted to talk to a friend, you called the house and hoped the right person answered. When boredom returned, you went outside. Or you didn't. You learned that empty time wasn't a failure of planning. It was a space where something unexpected might happen. Adults didn't hover. They asked where you were going, not what you were feeling. You were trusted with distance, with tools, with silence. You were expected to come back in one piece and mostly figured out how to do that yourself. All of this built something quietly durable. People who grew up in the 1970s learned that thoughts don't need constant interruption to stay alive, that waiting doesn't destroy desire, that being alone isn't the same as being lonely. They developed an inner steadiness before the world learned how to constantly knock on the door of attention. They don't rush to explain themselves. They don't panic in empty moments. They know how to sit through the pause because that's where they learned who they were in the first place. That's not nostalgia. That's psychological architecture, and it's becoming increasingly rare. If you enjoy calm, psychology-based videos about everyday human behavior, subscribe for more thoughtful explorations of the human mind.